Good morning and welcome to Data Talks with Dr. Tom. Today we're going to talk about vibe coding. So, deep dive on the subject of vibe coding, how you can use vibe coding to write code like a data scientist using AI for data analytics and visualization. So let's get right into it. So, when we talk about vibe coding, what are we talking about? There are a number of papers that are being written about this subject that are many of them are in preprint form. Used a lot of citations here from the website ArchiveX, which is preprint non-peer-reviewed work, but you can see a lot of papers coming out on this concept of vibe coding or programming through conversation with artificial intelligence, a paradigm where developers write code by interacting conversationally with LLMs rather than hand coding every line. So today I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to show some examples. Some other work finds that vibe coding is done in iterative cycles, the cycle being prompt, inspect, test, and refine. Some more work, vibe coding has a reconfiguration of intent mediation in software development, frames vibe coding as a shift to how humans' intent is mediated from deterministic instruction to probabilistic inference via LLMs. So that sort of means we're giving exact instructions to we're giving the sense of what we want to do. So less manual coding and more orchestration and oversight. Another study, Good Vibrations, a qualitative study of co-creation, communication flow, and trust in vibe coding, collects qualitative data, interviews, forum posts, and conceptualizes developer experiences for co-creation, trust, collaboration, flow, and pain points. And then in domain-specific context, there's been a paper, Biomedical software researchers that are exploring how vibe coding could accelerate research to tool pipelines. And then more broadly, the paradigm aligns with the idea of human in the loop or AI in the loop frameworks. And the idea behind that is humans and AI collaborate rather than being seen as separate silos. So this is the first paper we mentioned. Vibe coding, programming through conversation with artificial intelligence, an emergent paradigm where developers primarily write code by interacting with code-generating large language models rather than writing code directly, and they analyze a curated set of videos depicting extended vibe coding sessions. This video will be an intro vibe coding session. So this is the programming through conversation with artificial intelligence. This is their paper. And this is my graphic. So this kind of brings us through we write a prompt for the artificial intelligence. We inspect the result, test it, refine it. We write a new prompt, so forth, until we iterate enough times where we get an acceptable result. Vibe coding is a recognition or reconfiguration of intent mediation in software development, definitions, implications, and research agenda. Software development is undergoing a fundamental transformation as vibe coding becomes widespread, with large portions of contemporary code bases now being AI generated. The disconnect between rapid adoption and limited conceptual understanding highlights the need for an inquiry into this emerging paradigm. Drawing on intent, perspective, and historical analysis, we define vibe coding as a software development paradigm where humans and generative AI engage in collaborative workflow, co-create software artifacts through natural language dialogue, so forth. Good Vibrations, a qualitative study of co-creation, trust in vibe coding. Do we trust what we are getting? Vibe coding, a new paradigm for biomedical software development. Here's another, this is from the article, kind of graphic that shows the process. It's not iterative. I think the other graphic, the iterative one, is I think more like what actually happens. Idea, plan, tools, coding, documentation, debugging, testing, deployment. I think there is an iteration here. It's just not shown in their graphic. And this concept, human in the loop or AI in the loop, automate or collaborate. This is an important concept. Essentially, human in the loop systems are a promising approach for combining the strengths of data-driven machine learning models with contextual understanding of human experts. AI is not perfect. All of the AI that we use has disclaimers, written on the top or bottom that says this AI makes mistakes. I think it's important to have folks who understand what they're looking at and can maintain it and know, how to change it, troubleshoot it when you are actually using this stuff in production environments or to make decisions. So let's get into it. What will you learn? In this session, I will walk you through how vibe coding works in practice. I'm going to give you some prompt engineering tips. I'm going to give a few live examples with data analysis and visualization, and a little bit of reflection on the risks and challenges, where this could go next. And I'll share the sales.csv file, which is the dummy data that I created so that you can do this in real time with your AI agent of choice. There are a lot of them out there. ChatGPT, Gemini, take your pick. So, what is vibe coding? Prompting the AI, evaluating the output, and editing or reprompting. So it's a cycle. In that sense, vibe coding is a form of human-in-the-loop programming. The human steers and the AI suggests. But it's also AI-in-the-loop programming because the AI is not passive. It actively shapes the implementation. Some authors argue that vibe coding reconfigures how intent is mediated, not via code you write, but via prompts and feedback loops. It's a systems engineering concept. One study also looked at developer trust and experience, and they found that trust is dynamic. You're constantly deciding when to lean on AI and when to step in manually. You are going to look at the output and you're going to decide that it looks good to you and maybe we can work on it a little bit and get it to be better, or actually, I think I could do this better myself. It's not worth the effort to continue to try to iterate. Let me take the reins. So here's an example: data exploration with AI. So I prompted the AI using my sales CSV dummy data set, show me the first few rows and summarize the revenue column. In the background, if it were, which I think a lot of them do, use Python code, this is what it would do. It would import the pandas library, which is a data analytics library. It would create a data frame of the sales.csv file. It would print the first few rows of the CSV file, and it would describe elements of the revenue column using the .describe function. And here's what you would get. The AI would probably just give you this. You wouldn't actually see the code piece unless you wanted to. But if you were let's say you were doing this on a really big data set, like one that was too big data, quote unquote, for you to use an LLM on, that you had access to, maybe a free tier of ChatGPT or something, but you're trying to work with 20 million data points, then you might ask for this code because you might have to run it on your own rather than the AI doing it in the background. But you would get something like this: the head, first few rows, all the columns, and then some basic information from the describe function about the revenue column. So there's 120 revenues. The mean is 5797. The minimum is 1064. The maximum is 9996. And the median, which is right in the middle, 6202. So here's another example. This is a bar chart, revenue by category, using the dummy data set that I will provide you. Plot revenue by category as a bar chart, rotate X labels, and then in the background, the AI would run something like this. It would call in matplotlib, which is a data visualization library, would root the data frame, plot the table, and give it a title, give it a Y label on the Y-axis, give it an X label on the X-axis, so forth, and then show the plot. And you would get something like this: revenue by category, and that would be produced as an output by your AI agent. Let's talk a little bit about the prompt engineering concept. So prompt engineering is writing a prompt to go into AI that produces the result that you want with a high level of reliability. So you have to deal with things like hallucinations when writing prompts with AI. That's one thing where the AI can produce an output that is just weird and is obviously wrong. So you have to look out for those. But when writing prompts, context is important. So you kind of want to be as explicit as possible. So what data set are you interested in? What columns? What do you want specifically? Do you want a chart? Do you want to know correlation? Do you want to filter? What are your constraints? So what style do you want? What labels? What color? What rotation? What size? For example, the prompt using matplotlib, plot a line chart of monthly revenue with month on the x-axis and revenue on the y-axis, rotate the x labels diagonally, is a much better prompt than just make a chart. So good prompts are explicit, structured. They help reduce that iteration, that back and forth. You have to do it fewer times if you're more specific. And a good prompt engineering is foundational to smooth vibe coding. You can also reference prompt engineering frameworks. Some call it prompt science. I may do another video. So here's the last example, a scatter plot with a trend line. Create a scatter plot of advertising spend versus revenue and overlay a regression/trend line. In the background, the AI runs the code. Here it is. It's helpful to understand this. So I'm not going to go, this isn't a Python video, so I'm not going to go through and give a lesson on everything that's happening here. But if you want to use this on big data and you want to be able to make changes or maintain this code, it's good to understand how to do these things. But the output would look something like this. Revenue versus advertising spend with the trend line. Here's revenue, advertising spend. Here's the scatter. It's kind of all over the place, but here's your trend line with a slightly downward trend. So what? Vibe coding is not zero effort. It redistributes the effort from typing code to prompt design, context management, and oversight. And there's risk. Code generated without full understanding may harbor bugs, vulnerabilities, or maintenance challenges, meaning if you don't know how you got there, you may not be able to change anything or fix anything. If you put it back into the AI, it may make major changes that you didn't want, so it just gets messy. Researchers are already studying user trust, flow, and failure modes in vibe coding. And if you were to write a paper, you could investigate how users transition between prompts and manual edits, trust collaboration with AI over long sessions, quality and maintainability of vibe code over time, and the differences across domains. So not just analytics, but in maybe application development or biomedical. So that's our video on vibe coding. We don't have anything else for today, but go ahead and like and subscribe and drop a comment in the chat and let me know if you've used vibe coding and what for. Thanks a lot, guys, and have a great day.